The pawn shop's neon sign flickered against the grimy storefront as Elsa clutched the small velvet box tighter in her three-fingered hands. Her iridescent blue skin seemed to shimmer with nervous energy as she pushed through the door, the bell chiming with a sound that made her antennae twitch. She had never been in such a place before, the air thick with desperation and the musty scent of forgotten dreams. Behind the reinforced glass counter stood a grizzled human veteran, his left arm replaced by a crude prosthetic that whirred softly with each movement. Helen Mackenzie had seen plenty of desperate souls walk through his door, but never one like this. The young Zephyrian female couldn't have been more than 16 in Earth years, her large violet eyes darting nervously around the cluttered shop. "What can I do for you, kid?" Helen's voice was rougher than he intended, decades of service and loss having worn down his patience for pleasantries. Elsa placed the velvet box on the counter with trembling fingers. I need to sell this. My family needs food and the relief centers won't help aliens without proper documentation." Helen's weathered face softened slightly as he opened the box. Inside lay a military medal, not human, but unmistakably a decoration of honor. The crystalline structure caught the harsh fluorescent light, casting rainbow patterns across the counter. It was Zephyrian, no doubt about it, but something about the design made his blood run cold. "Where did you get this?" His voice was barely a whisper. "It was my father's," Elsa replied, her translator struggling with the emotion in her voice. "He served in the Galactic Defense Force during the Xerian War. He died when I was small." Helen's prosthetic hand began to shake as he lifted the medal. The inscription was in both Zephyrian script and broken English. "For extraordinary valor in the defense of human colony ship Aurora's Dream. Awarded to combat engineer Vexi Tarzindai." The room seemed to spin around Helen as memories crashed back like a tidal wave. The Xerian swarm ships descending like locusts, the colony ship's engines failing, the impossible choice between abandoning 3,000 sleeping colonists or certain death, and then a miracle in the form of a blue-skinned engineer who had refused to leave them behind. "Your father," Helen managed, his voice cracking. "Vextar, he saved my life. Saved all our lives." Elsa's antennae straightened, in surprise. "You knew him?" Helen reached beneath the counter with his good arm, pulling out a dusty frame. Inside was a photograph, a group of humans and aliens standing together on the bridge of a battered starship. In the center, a young Helen Mackenzie stood next to a tall Zephyrian male, whose features were unmistakably similar to Elsa's. "I was the communications officer on the Aurora's Dream," Helen explained, his eyes distant. "When the Xerians hit us, we lost everything. Engines, weapons, life support. We were dead in space with 3,000 colonists in cryosleep. Your father, he volunteered for a suicide mission." Elsa leaned forward, her violet eyes wide. "What kind of mission?" "The Xerians had a weakness. Their hive ships needed to maintain a constant quantum link to coordinate attacks. Your father figured out that if someone could get close enough to their command ship and overload their quantum core, it would disable their entire fleet." Helen's voice grew thick with emotion. "But it was a one-way trip. The radiation levels would have killed anyone who tried it." "But father survived," Elsa whispered. "He came home after the war." Helen nodded slowly. "He survived because of something I'd never seen before. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about. Courage. When he reached the Xerian command ship, he didn't just overload their quantum core. He somehow managed to create a feedback loop that turned their own weapons against them. The entire fleet destroyed itself in minutes." "How did he survive the radiation?" A sad smile crossed Helen's weathered features. "Your people's natural quantum resistance. Something humans didn't know about at the time. But even with that protection, he was severely wounded. I was the one who pulled him from the wreckage when our rescue ships arrived." Elsa's hands shook as she processed this information. "You saved him?" "We saved each other," Helen corrected. "He taught me that bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about being terrified and doing what's right anyway. After the war, humans, and Zephyrians weren't just allies anymore, we were family. The old veteran carefully closed the metal box and pushed it back across the counter. This isn't for sale, kid. This belongs to a hero's daughter. But my family will be taken care of, Helen interrupted, reaching for his worn wallet. Consider it a debt paid to an old friend. As he counted out enough credits to last Elsa's family for months, something extraordinary happened. The pawn shop's back door burst open, and a massive form squeezed through the frame. The dragon, rare draconian refugee named Skorthak, unfurled his wings slightly and spoke in a voice like distant thunder. The girl speaks truth about her father, the dragon rumbled. I was there when Vextar Zindai made his impossible choice. I flew cover for his approach to the Zirian command ship. Elsa stared in amazement as the ancient creature bowed his great head respectfully. Your father was the bravest being I have ever known, young one. He faced certain death not for glory or recognition, but because 3,000 innocent souls depended on him. Helen looked between the dragon and the young Zephyrian, understanding dawning in his eyes. We're all connected by that battle, aren't we? Human, Zephyrian, and Draconian, brought together by one moment of impossible courage. The bonds forged in shared sacrifice transcend species, Skorthak agreed. Perhaps it is time we honored those bonds properly. As Elsa clutched her father's medal and the credits that would save her family, she realized she had found something more valuable than money. She had found the family her father had spoken of in his final days, the family that spanned the stars, and proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their ambition. It was their ability to inspire others to be better than they thought possible. In the flickering light of the pawn shop, 3 beings from different worlds stood united by the memory of a hero who had shown them all what it truly meant to be human, not in body, but in spirit.